He went to work one day.
We just had a plane crash into Alpha
There was no body. There was no funeral.
of the World Trade Center, transmit a second alarm, and
He just went to work.
Bill Fallon was one of the 2,753 people who perished in the World Trade Center on 9/11. The 38-year-old IT manager, husband, and father to 2 girls worked on the 103rd floor of Tower 1. The family decided to wait to tell Bill's 8-year-old daughter, Kayla.
Well, you know, I'm sure at some point I asked, "Where's Dad?"
It took them 2 days to give her the news.
I remember trying really hard not to cry. The lumps in my throat that I would have to hold it in and not show anything, because if I showed something, maybe then I'd admit that something was actually happening.
2 weeks later, she went to Ground Zero with her family for a special memorial service. That left Kayla with more questions than answers.
It's a giant dust bowl with debris everywhere, you know? And I still didn't really grasp the enormity of the situation. So, I mean, I always wanted to be there. I think it made me feel closer in some way, more connected.
There were those who tried to help Kayla understand why her daddy had to die.
The cliche things, he's in a better place, or, you know, he's with God now, and it's not in a better place. The only place he should be is here with me. That's better. I thought that God didn't care.
Kayla, her mom, and older sister started counseling. But after 2 years, Kayla was still angry and confused. At 10 years old, she started cutting and was diagnosed with PTSD.
I was angry at everything. I was screaming for anybody to understand the pain.
As she made her way through middle and high school, Kayla learned to put on a smile, becoming a model student who had many friends. At home, though, she continued cutting and was prone to angry outbursts, especially at her mom. While her family never talked about that day, Kayla couldn't let it go. Every year, she attended the 9/11 memorial service at Ground Zero.
I was constantly searching for answers, and maybe part of it was just trying to find closure. Man, I tried to find that for a long time.
Closure, however, would prove elusive. Kayla did stop cutting at 18, but had replaced it with another self-destructive habit: drug abuse. Over the coming year, she got kicked out of her mom's house, dropped out of college, and made several unsuccessful attempts at drug rehab.
I didn't see how it could get better. It was my whole life. It just was the way that it was. This pain was going to be there forever.
And in September 2011, Kayla would miss her annual pilgrimage to the 9/11 memorial service. 2 days earlier, she went to a friend's house looking for a high. When she arrived, her friend was overdosing and had to be rushed to a hospital.
And it was like I knew, like in my mind, the thought was, "You're next." And it was so impactful looking at somebody else doing what I was doing and seeing that. And I mean, that changed the trajectory of my life exponentially.
Desperate, she called another friend, whose mother agreed to let Kayla live with them. There were conditions, though. She had to get a drug test twice a week and go to Teen Challenge. On September 11th, 10 years to the day after losing her dad, Kayla stepped into rehab to get the closure and answers she'd been searching for.
At one point, the counselor, she pulled out a whiteboard and she wrote down Romans 8:28. And in therapy, a lot of my sticking point was like, well, God doesn't care about me, so why should I care about me? And she pulled out Romans 8:28 and explained how everything works for good. And that God doesn't cause the pain, but he works it for good. And I have never talked about moments of clarity, right? I had never heard anything more crystal clear in my life. And I just I looked at it, my jaw hung open, and I sobbed.
Kayla never took drugs again. She started going to church where she would find healing as others prayed for her. In time, she gave her heart to Jesus Christ and was baptized.
I think innately I wanted God's approval so badly. And I thought I could never get it because he hated me. He didn't care about me. And so to hear that, God does love you a lot, and he didn't do this to you, my heart, I was validated for the pain that was caused.
Kayla says Romans 8:28 still rings true. She and her husband Kyle have 3 little girls with 1 on the way. They also operate Trails of Purpose, a counseling and equine therapy ranch for soldiers struggling with PTSD.
The trauma comes back. I won't say it's gone forever. The memories are there, and it's a deep-rooted pain that'll never disappear from my life. But if every day I choose Christ, it isn't as destructive. And so instead of directing it to destroy me, I've directed it to fuel me to do something that's helpful.